Okay, it's 5 o'clock on August the 10th. I've called this special meeting of the Santa Fe ISD Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present virtually. I have Mr. Davenport, Mr. Grassmuck, Mr. Snyder, Mr. Kelly, and myself together virtually, and I'm expecting Mr. Logan and Mr. Hertenberger to call in shortly, but we're going to go ahead and get started since it is 5 o'clock. Our first order of business is the public comment for agenda items, and we had none. So we will now move forward. And Ms. Townsend, you have some stuff to bring us on the connectivity interlocal agreement.
Yes, sir. Can everyone hear me? All right. Well, good evening. Hope all is well. The first agenda item that we're bringing is an interlocal agreement with Region 4, the co-op Region 4, to purchase the laptops that Kip will be presenting in just a minute. So we're just making sure that all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted to say that we approve the agreement as well as the Region 4 co-op. There is no fee for the service to help us get these laptops, but we do have to go through these special arrangements developed by the state and Region 4. So what we're asking is to approve the agreement that we will do business between the district, Region 4, and the state of Texas to purchase these laptops.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Townsend concerning the interlocal agreement that was presented to you?
Does that lock us into buying with, I understand we're just agreeing to an agreement, approving an agreement, but what are we going to do once we get this agreement approved?
Not able to hear Mr. Grassmuck. Is he asking me a question? No, sir. No, ma'am.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Asking if this locks us into an agreement, what are we going to do with this agreement?
So this agreement will allow us, if we want, to purchase the laptops at a discounted price from the state of Texas.
So are we doing that, or are we going to approve that later?
That's the next item.
Yes, that is the next item.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with the next actual purchase.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions for Ms. Townsend? Okay, I will entertain a motion for this agreement then.
My screen's locked, so I can't find the darn.
And I'm also having my screen just locked as well. So
Welcome to Board Book
Mr.
Premiere.
President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agreement that allows us to work with Region 4 to purchase laptops through the state of Texas.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the connectivity interlocal agreement that Ms. Townsend presented. Any other questions or comments? If not, Mr. Grassmuck, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Davenport?
Yes.
I will be a yes. Mr. Kelly? I don't know, he slipped off the screen.
Yeah, Mr. Kelly's having sound issues right now. I have Corey working on it.
Okay, he is sending in that he is voting yes as well.
Yes, he is on the chat feature saying he is a yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that is approved. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, Kip, you want to talk a little bit about the laptops themselves?
Yes, sir. So along with the agreement was a couple of items that we could purchase through this program. The Operation Connectivity is designed to provide students with the necessary equipment for online virtual learning, the tools necessary to participate in the required school learning opportunities. Operation Connectivity, in partnership with TEA, have provided Santa Fe ISD the opportunity to purchase 2,000 Dell 3410 laptops that would enhance SFISD students' ability to navigate online and in classroom instruction. The laptops can be purchased for a unit cost of $323 or a total cost of $646,000, with TEA providing funding for 50% of the total cost, resulting in a total of Santa Fe ISD's cost of $323,000. These new Dell 3410 student laptops provide a 1-year warranty, also a i3 processor, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 500 gig hard drive. Operation Connectivity also has provided an opportunity for SFISD to purchase 300 Verizon unlimited data Wi-Fi hotspots for a total cost of $62,700, with TEA providing funding for 50% of the total cost, resulting in a total cost for SFISD of $31,350. The total cost for Santa Fe ISD to provide these tools to our students is $354,350.
Does anyone have any questions for Kip now concerning the computers and the hotspots?
Yes. Full disclosure, I work for AT&T. But that has nothing to do with my question or concern here. Why do we go with Verizon? And it has nothing to do with the fact that AT&T is better than Verizon or T-Mobile is better than any of them. My concern is you have dead spots for every carrier in different spots. And I'm concerned that only having one carrier, we could end up with some potential spots where Verizon won't work, or AT&T won't work, or T-Mobile won't work. And I don't know what the logic was behind going with one carrier, but I think we could run into some issues there where certain individuals in certain areas would have coverage from one carrier, but not another.
So when we asked that on the side of which carrier, it came back Verizon covered most of our school area. And we do have the opportunity to go purchase devices from T-Mobile and also AT&T. That was part of that list in there. I don't know if they're going to let us come back and modify, but looking at some of the data that's coming in, the 300 hotspots may not be enough to provide for those students at this time. We're seeing more interest in the hotspots. We're also trying to educate them on the hotspots and some of the limitations that it may have. We're really trying to pinpoint those students that have absolutely nothing and no means of getting internet at their home. So that's where the 300 number came up originally. But just know that we do have options to look at other carriers at this point, and feel like talking to AT&T and Verizon both. We have a good relationship with both of those carriers, and I'm sure we could build a bridge with T-Mobile as well, and see if we can get that that same pricing, or what region or what TEA and Region 4 can do for us at that point.
Well, if we have to come back later, I mean, I'm okay with buying with this agreement going with all Verizon. I'm fine with that. I don't have an issue. If we find down the road that we have 20 or 30 or 50 kids that we run into the issue that I discussed, that we have the ability to go back later and possibly buy 30 or 50 T-Mobile or AT&T or whatever's the best carrier for the spot. I mean, I don't care who it is, whoever gives them service. Are we going to have that ability later to come back and purchase more if we need to?
To answer that question, I mean, the short answer is yes. I mean, we want to try to take care of our students, and I don't think it's going to be a very big handful of those that are not going to pick up with Verizon. but those that do come across, we'll have to look at that case by case. And obviously, if it's a lot of money, we'll have to bring that back to the board and have that discussion here. But if we're talking, 5 or 6 students that may fall under, then that's something that we can handle, in-house, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a huge number anyway. But are these hotspots truly? Is it truly unlimited data? Because that's the other thing that I'm concerned about is we're going to have synchronous learning going on with streaming going on, and that is going to burn through data packages like crazy. Are these truly unlimited, or are they going to throttle them after a certain period of time?
Well, you work for AT&T, there's no such thing as unlimited anymore. It's unlimited to 33 megs typically is where they're going to cap that at. And then we're going to see that. That is definitely a concern that I've brought up, to the staff here. And also we're trying to communicate that out on our Facebook Live that we had, was some of the shortfalls that we're going to run into. I describe it as I-45 after, when Hurricane Rita was coming in. I-45 was a parking lot. It was never designed for that type of mass evacuation. And I think that's what we potentially could see, moving down the road is, maybe the first half of the month may go good. And then we'll start seeing some bandwidth issues as things start getting throttled back, because not only are we streaming from the school, which we have plenty of bandwidth calculated, if every teacher went live today. But the concern is the hotspots and Comcast and maybe those out there that just don't have the infrastructure to be able to support the amount of bandwidth fixing to come down the pipe. And not just Santa Fe, but that's any school district that may have an older infrastructure.
I guess this is more of a Dr. Wall or Kim question. What happens if we run into these issues with our TEA requirements that we have to meet?
We bring them to our campus.
Yeah.
We will do everything we can to support them remotely if that's what they would prefer to do. But if instruction is not possible in that format, then we bring them to our schools.
So at that point, then just on the heels of that, Dr. Wall, we take away the flexibility of saying you can either go virtual or in person, and it just becomes just one option, and that is face-to-face at our schools.
If we cannot support them with technology, if they are not able to get adequate access to the virtual instruction, then we don't have another option but to provide education at our schools. We can still accommodate as well as we can their concerns within the campus, but yes, they would then, in order for us to serve them, if we can't support them with whatever the connectivity problem is, and hopefully that won't happen too often, and it won't be too many, but then we would be left with no other options. So we'll certainly reach out and do what we can to support the connectivity, and then we'll also reach out to some of the other carriers and see what we can accomplish in other entities, whether it be county or city, in order to help support. But at that point, we would be left for ourselves as no other option but to provide education here at school.
So this question is going to go to Kip then. Do we have the means and ability to track what is going through those hotspots? Because what I would hate to see is we issued these for the intent that the children are using them, but yet grown-ups are then also streaming games, streaming, videos on Amazon Prime and everything else that's sucking up that bandwidth, and then they hit those mile marker cutoffs or throttle back points that y'all have been talking about. Do we have the ability to track that and basically police it? Should we ever have to use that?
So it's funny. I would think that maybe you were reading my emails today, because I got an email from Verizon today about a management system that we can add onto these hotspots, which me and Lee and Bob have discussed just briefly today. It's a management system that allows us to block apps, obviously, content filtering as well. That was my exact same concern. If we can block TikTok and Facebook, those streaming audio and video sites that won't impair them from doing their job or doing their schoolwork, but will allow that hotspot to be used as much as possible for educational purposes. So yeah, and that it's $1.50 a hotspot for the management piece of it. So you calculate that out, it's roughly over $5,000, to manage those. But I believe that's money well spent, because exactly my concern was, if these hotspots are going to get idled down, let's try to prolong it as much as possible and limit it to the applications that we need, to work. Good question.
Just to let me interject another note. So also, Eric, to follow up on your question, you're talking about the problems with connectivity primarily with synchronous learning. Where if you're talking about some of the lower grades, then we would have the ability to support them at home with asynchronous, and that piece may be less of an impact. So just to clarify.
That's a good clarity, and I appreciate that, because I was not making those two connections. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Kip?
I do. I'm sorry to belabor this one, but so obviously there might be some defects with those hotspots, because I'm sure the companies that are producing them are mass producing them, and you might have a defect here and there with a couple of them. Do they come with a warranty? We also know that these are kids that are using this technology, and they might get dropped on the floor. They might, something may happen to them. Is there an insurance for these types of things? I mean, if you don't mind taking me through any of that, or taking us through, not just me.
Okay, so all the hotspots are all covered. So if one gets damaged or broke, they basically bring it back to the school, and then if we have one, we'll swap it out. We'll send the other one back, and they actually will, as soon as we call to make a claim on it, they'll have one in the mail. So that's the beauty of working with a hotspot. So we're good there. And then all of our devices that we're sending out have insurance as well on them against breakage. And so, but that would be basically the same procedure. So little Johnny breaks his screen, he would then at that point have to bring it back to the campus or the technology building, and we would swap it out for another one, and then we would send that one and get it repaired. Or actually, we would do the repairs ourselves.
Are we paying for the deductibles on that kind of stuff? Is it per item, per unit, or is it mass?
Say that again.
So each unit that comes in, is it a deductible per unit, or is it?
No, sir. On the hotspots, there is no insurance that we have to buy outside of the purchase of the actual device. On the insurance for the computers, it's a one-time cost. We purchased them. I believe we ended up going with a year, didn't we? Insurance, or 6 months? It was, yeah. We did it for a year because we weren't sure how long this was going to take, and so we just went ahead and put the whole year on there. Fortunately, we have more devices than we have students, so we're not going to be in the same boat that we are on the hotspot. So if a hotspot breaks, it may take a day to get that other one, back in. But with the computers, if they break one of those, we can hand one of them over, that day.
Okay. I have no further questions, Mr. Norman. Thank you, Kip and Dr. Wall.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Do we have to specify who we're going to purchase them from, or can we just put a budget for hotspots?
I think, they can go back later and buy them, but I think going the route they're going is a good idea.
So right now, we're purchasing them from Verizon, but we do, under this agreement, it allowed us to look at 3 different vendors. And I can go back and ask that question if we needed to purchase more, if we can, and if we do, if we can purchase from other companies. Obviously, we have a great relationship with Verizon and AT&T, so we can make it outside.
So if Clay, if I'm understanding your question right, when we make a motion on this, could we just take the word Verizon out of the equation for our motion? Is that what you're asking?
Asking if that was possible, so that way we don't tie Kip's hands to, let him be more flexible if he sees that he might need to choose another carrier.
Okay, the question would be, is that going to mess up the interlocal agreement in any way? Yes, I don't know if y'all can hear Miss Townsend's in the background, and she's saying yes, that the interlocal agreement does already state Verizon, but based on what Kip just said, that would not keep him from going out and talking to some of the others to purchase small amounts if he needed.
Clay, I think that's the best way to do it right now anyway. I mean, it's going to be a limited number that we're going to need of other ones. And to be honest, this is probably going to cover 99% of our area. So, I mean, I'm trying not to throw my own place under the bus, but.
No, I get that. I'm not even trying to specify that. I was just trying to make it more flexible for Kip if he ran into that problem, so we don't have to do another special meeting of some sort.
I don't think he'll need many.
And faster.
I think we're talking about a small number.
I don't have any more questions.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would require another meeting is if this got so out of hand, if once we get actually kids doing this and we see that there's a tremendous amount of problems, if they had to go out and spend a large amount of money, then it would come back to us. But I think what Kip is saying, and Kip, tell me if I'm wrong, that he thinks it's going to be such a small number, he can easily handle it just within his daily flexibility.
Yes, that is correct. Based on everything that I've been told, we should be in a pretty good position on coverage. Obviously, like I said, my only concern is the numbers. How many, once we start handing one out, I feel like we really have to have a good control system to make sure we're really pinpointing those students that absolutely need one of these devices.
I lied. I have another question based on what you just said, Kip. So I'm going to ask it another way, and I'm sure that Kip, you and your team and the rest of the staff there have already thought through this. But is there any reason why we should need to consider purchasing a little bit of a surplus, knowing that every district in the states and everybody in the nation is doing the same thing right now for turnaround times, things of that nature?
There's a good answer for that.
Okay.
So the laptop were capped at your state comp ed numbers. So you were only able to get the discounted price as long as you stayed within the range of your maximum state comp ed numbers, which is 2,047 as of PEMS October 2019. So on the laptops, we're frozen at where we're at. As far as the other devices, we certainly could look at that if there's extra and still get some more. Again, you're going to want to tell how your coverage is going, whether they're meeting the demands and what that could be. The whole premise of this agreement is how many people are going to take advantage of it and how quickly are they going to be out of stock. So that's kind of what we were all kind of scratching our heads when we put in that order of what do you do, where do you project, what limits do you have, and what do you need? So yes, if there's some available, we certainly can go back out and get more, but we really just don't know until those numbers come in.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Townsend.
I got a question on that. Kip, you was talking about the insurance. It was like $5,000 something. Is that approved? Is that in the motion, or that's something we need to add to it?
We've actually already added the insurance to the laptops on that first round that we did. We did it through the end of the year. And then once we saw that we were going through the summer, we went ahead and increased that for the entire year for this school year as well. That's
Okay.
all based on those numbers that we did into the summer months. Now, we've increased that, so there will be some increase to those numbers. And Ms. Lee can kind of speak to that if.
Yes, we're looking at different vendors on that insurance. This is a whole new set of devices. So yes, we would have to go out for insurance for these 2,000 devices to see what's offered and what's out there. The 5,000 was to get us from the period from March to June 30th, the end of the fiscal year. And then we have extended it on around to make sure that we had it available for the devices that are submitted. It's my understanding the insurance is based on the serial number on the device. So it's device specific. So we are working with vendors to get a new quote for this new set that we're going to issue.
Ms. Townsend, what about the $1.50 for the to limit the access on the hotspots?
Yes, and again, that came across this morning. There's not enough time to get it on this agenda, but we certainly can look at that to see if it's something we can add and get the details to that of exactly what it will cover and what it will do for us. So yes, that is something that we still can consider. It's well with underneath the threshold. It was about $5,000. So it is something that we can work internally to make it happen.
Yeah, because I think that'd be important.
And it's not insurance, it's actually a management system. So
Right.
just clarify, the devices are covered. If they get broke, they're covered through Verizon. But what we're talking about is a management system, so we can kind of control what's going on those devices.
It's a Netflix blocker.
No, I got it. And I think that's vital.
It is.
Yeah, I do agree. People are going to be abusing that and running through it, and kids are going to be left, or even the kids are going to run through it. So I think that'd be vital to making sure they have enough data. So thank you.
Thank you for asking that question, because when you said that, I was then confused myself. It's actually two different things. The devices are covered
Yes,
already, and then this is the management system that would go with it, which
that
I
is
think is
correct.
important.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just going to say this out loud for the members out there. I follow Mr. Kelly on that one. I think that is important to have that management system, and I would be in favor of it.
Any other questions or comments for Kip on this? If not, what's your pleasure?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of 2,000 new Dell student laptops and 300 Verizon wireless Wi-Fi hotspots from TEA for a cost of $354,350.
Second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of these laptops and the Wi-Fi hotspots. Any other questions or comments? If not, Mr. Grassmuck, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Davenport,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Hertenberger,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
and I will be a yes as well. So it has passed. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And that is all of the business we have today. Does anybody have any other communication real quick, like before we adjourn?
No, I just want to let the members know, obviously, I think one or two of you have known that I've asked just personally if they're receiving any kind of derogatory or negative feedback to their personal selves. I've received one here recently that just kind of caught me off guard, but I guess around the corner is November and they're starting to come out. So just kind of give everybody a heads up that you might be getting some email or text messages. Mine came from a 201 area code, which is out of New Jersey. But it did have personal things on it, and it knew things that seem to be very local to Santa Fe ISD. So it was intriguing.
So they have apps now, Eric, just so you're aware that they can send you information and it just grabs a bank of numbers, and it's just like a rotating type file.
It can be
They
coming
can
from next
disguise
door.
themselves.
No, and I knew that technology is out there, but I was just saying it's at least I've already received one here leading into the fall season here.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Norman,
was
can I
just gonna-
just say thank you? I
Oh.
just want to say thank you all for coming together on short notice and for considering in such great questions regarding the technology and the purchase. It is a big shift for us, and we appreciate you guys taking time to do it. And also appreciate the state Operation Connectivity and support for our students and for helping us to bring that digital divide closer together. So appreciate that. And also we're kind of looking forward to kicking off a school year in a very different way. So be patient because we know we're going to have some bumps, but we are definitely working hard to make it work well. So we're looking forward to students in, students at home, and school happening. So thanks to all.
Okay, and Mr. Norman, I just wanted to thank everyone on behalf of the district, all our staff who've been working really hard the last couple of weeks to prepare for our students' return. I want to thank Kim and her staff who've been just so instrumental in the leadership and the Facebook Live. If parents haven't been able to see those, that we do have some links on the website, and but just a great job of explaining what that virtual instruction is going to look like. And then also just a reminder that this week is virtual open houses, and so I think Ms. Ross can probably explain it better than I can, but most of the teachers will be visiting with their students virtually. So I'm going to turn it over to her for that. But I just wanted to thank everyone from the whole entire district has worked. All of our staff has worked really hard to ensure that our students are going to have a great start virtually to the 2020-2021 school year.
So I would like to second that, Ms. Hansard. It has definitely been an interesting ride, but yet we're going to get there. And so all the Facebook Live, I guess, webisodes, so to speak, that we're putting out, we're going to continue as we have updates. One of the things, though, that Ms. Hansard mentioned was, and this is for all of the parents that may be watching as well, you should be receiving in your email a personal invitation for you to join the virtual school open house. And that is actually going to be set up where teachers are pre-recording messages and they're sending it out in terms of expectations for their classrooms. And then they're going to turn the camera on live, and they're going to, show their classroom environment and talk about the year and how to get started and what it's going to look like in terms of virtual learning versus face-to-face learning as we get beyond the 3 weeks of virtual learning. And then teachers are also working on an additional schedule for those parents and students that may want to meet individually with their teachers. Teachers are actually going to schedule appointments for the students to be able to meet with their parents, with the teachers on an individual basis, to be able to kind of, get them transitioned well into the school year. So please be looking for any of that information that's being sent out. Thank you all.
Hey, Kim, I just wanted to mention, I think I've seen some of your stuff, Facebook Live and things of that nature. And I wanted to let you know that I think you got a large task ahead of you, and I think you're doing terrific. So,
well, thank you.
Don't let anybody.
It's definitely not me. I'll tell you that. It is an entire team. And I mean, from teachers to principals to this whole group that's sitting here today, it is. I mean, that's just not saying that for the sheer fact of saying it. It is an entire team. And, not because we have to do it, because we want to do it. And I think that's one of the things that has been the clearest reflection of the actions of everybody that's been putting time to this task to get it done.
Well, I'll end by saying, for you and everybody you've mentioned and people you didn't mention, the efforts are not going unnoticed. I'll just say that much, and thank you.
Well, thank you. And I thank you and accept that on behalf of everybody who's really putting in that time. And I hope it pays off for kids. That's what we want, most importantly, and that's what we expect. So thank y'all.
I have a question for you. What are we doing for the last minute situations that pop up when teachers can't come in?
So actually, that's something that just so happens that Ms. Davenport and I and Ms. Hansard have, been talking about. Ms. Davenport and I had a conversation about that today. We're looking at a variety of different scenarios, and one may be having basically like a permanent substitute on each campus to be able to fill in for some of that as well. But then also, we're sitting down with the principals, and I have a meeting with them tomorrow to also brainstorm, in a sense, for like the virtual learning for the next 3 weeks, what that may look like in terms of potentially if a teacher cannot come in, maybe having like a buddy, being that we're in virtual world right now, a buddy teacher be able to assume their class responsibility for that day, and not necessarily bringing a sub. But we're looking at short-term plans and long-term plans, and really trying to just get a good, finger on the pulse of how many kids, once we start moving toward August 24th, where people are going to decide and make their commitments as to whether or not they're going to stay in virtual or face-to-face. That'll also help give us I think a greater idea of what we're going to do with our schedules, and whether or not we are going to need, additional people, or if we do end up combining, and let's say that we have in virtual learning quite a few, students that decide to stay virtually, then we may be able not necessarily to have to look at the substitutes. We may be able to look within our own staff by combining a variety of teachers in order to make certain that our students are given, an assistance from somebody that's already internally within the system, within our Canvas, has the accounts within, Santa Fe ISD, and knows how to use it. So we're trying several different layers, several different layer approach to making certain that we have a backup for a backup, because we can't afford our kids to lose a day in learning.
I'm asking because we're experiencing it. I got 2 kids yesterday that tested positive, so we're all now for 2 weeks based off what I guess protocol everywhere. So we all, out of the 5 of us, 2 of them have it. So.
Well, thank you for asking that, but that is definitely something we've been, really trying to brainstorm. But like I said, it's kind of it depends, because it does depend in terms of like what we end up with after the 3 weeks. During the 3 weeks, we have a plan and we're getting all that straightened out. But after the 3 weeks, it will depend on how many, exist in virtual and how many exist face-to-face.
I was just asking because Melanie last week was there. Again, I can only personal reference, and
right.
Today she can't be, and they're trying to get it over across the finish line here to get ready to get started. But so it's
right.
a minute.
Storm
scenario happening.
Well, and that's the one thing that's really, just to let everybody know, like how we plan in our professional learning is you have teachers that can actually be able to assume the same responsibilities that, another partner teacher or another grade level teacher is, going to have to assume at that time. The only thing is that we are, figuring out all of the logistics, like the students that are assigned to that teacher and things like that.
Okay. More to come.
More to come for sure.
More to come. Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
Not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
There we go. It's moved and seconded that we adjourn. It is 5:39 p.m. All y'all that I can see your bright faces on the screen want to raise your hand that you agree to adjourn, and it is passed. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Clay,
you.
hope your crew stays